Gowri Shankar, better known as Auto Shankar, was an Indian criminal, serial killer and gangster from the state of Tamil Nadu, active in Chennai throughout the 1970s and 1980s. Born on 21st of January 1954 in the remote village of Kangeyanallur, Tamil Nadu, Gowri Shankar's childhood was an unsettling roller coaster. As an young boy, he saw his father steal their family's wealth and elope with another woman despite having two wives. His childhood trauma, however, wouldn't end there. Another sorry sight that scared teenage Shankar was watching his mother elope with her employer. Following a distressed childhood marked by odd jobs and obscure family life, Shankar finally moved to Madras in the summer of 1974. Young and passionate with a head full of dreams, Shankar came to Chennai hoping for a better life. Close to the end of 1974, still unemployed, impoverished and destitute, Shankar struggled to feed his family and make ends meet. There happened to be a quarrel with a small shopkeeper where the same refused to give credit for the rice to feed his hungry family. Not only he declined, but he along with a policeman which he called thrashed Shankar. After being beaten up and humiliated by the policeman, Shankar decided to take revenge and did that by bashing up the grocer in return as well as ransacking his shop. The grocer, out of fear, did not go for police again. And this was where Shankar saw his potential and got the courage to do what he did later. Shankar lived in Periyar Nagar in Tiruvanmiyur, which is located in the outskirts of Madras at that time. Tiruvanmiyur at that time was a haven for smuggling, prostitution and murder. This place was seen as a remote suburban area and was not in full control of the city police. Between Tiruvanmiyur and Mahabalipuram lied narrow, potholed and meandered roads where small villages were established alongside them. This way also encountered a large number of palm trees lying alongside the scenic coast. These hamlets were haven for the distillation of illegal liquor and the palm trees were utilized for toddy brewing. Shankar survived by peddling cycle rickshaws and later began to operate an auto from which he got his name Auto Shankar. Shankar was first into illicit transportation of these liquors to the inside city of Madras where his auto rickshaw was used. During these exploits, Shankar quickly took notice of Mahabalipuram's blooming flesh trade. To widen his profits, he began ferrying sex workers to brothels and clients in Madras. He made his involvement and used his auto to ferry women between the city and the coastal town. Shortly after a while, he started his own business to become a pimp. He ran his brothels in the Tiruvanmiyur area, one from a house in Periyar Nagar and other from a lodge in LB Road. Both of these saw the likes of influential politicians, local policemen and even some lesser known Kollywood stars coming in. Shankar was a regular visitor to Paul's Cabaret lying near Devi Cinema Complex on Mount Road. It was there itself he saw Lalita, a performer for which he fell for and who later became one of the victims of his heinous murder sequence. But this also became the reason for getting him behind the bars, ending his reign and finally into the death penalty. Lalita, the lady for whom Shankar fell for, eloped with Shankar's friend Sudalai Muthu. An enraged Shankar planned his revenge by pretending to reconcile with the two through mutual friends. One night in October 1987, he invited her to one of his places in Periyar Nagar, then killed her and buried her. He then rented the house to an old widow for 150 rupees. Shankar told Sudalai that Lalita was on an all-India tour with a VIP and 2 months later invited him for dinner. Shankar loaded Sudalai with liquor, strangled him, burned his body and dumped his ashes in the sea. The same he did to 9 other girls. Sources closely linked to Shankar reported that the girls reported missing were abducted at the request of local politicians that would take turns raping the girls only to eventually murder or silence them. He then had the house renovated and explained away the burn marks by claiming they were roasted meat. When Sudalai's friend Ravi confronted Shankar, Shankar killed him and buried him outside the Periyar Nagar plot. He claimed that the burial was of illegal errac that he was hiding from an upcoming police raid. He posted a false letter to his wife claiming Ravi was in fact in Mumbai. By 1988, he had a multi-story house, cars, bikes and connections that could do anything. On 29 May 1988, he and his gang were confronted by 3 members of a rival gang, Sampath, Mohan and Govindaraj, who refused to pay for using his woman and demanded protection money. Shankar invited them to his den, promising to pay them, and then beat them to death and buried them. At the end of June, Sampath's wife Vijaya filed a complaint with Mylapore police that her husband was missing and Shankar could be responsible for that. She was advised to file a complaint with Tiruvanmayur police instead, who arrested Shankar on charges of causing a nuisance and released him. Vijaya sent a petition to governor who ordered the police to investigate Shankar. However, the reluctant police told Vijaya to not bother them with complaints. A distraught Vijaya turned to her journalist neighbor who published an article implying they might have been murdered. The then Inspector General ordered a special inquiry and the deaths of 3 men were discovered. When they arrested Shankar and interrogated him, he confessed to the murders and to the other 3 murders he had committed. Appeal after appeal was rightfully rejected by the High Court and Supreme Court in the light of the inhuman nature of his crimes. When locked up for the first time, he managed to make a daring escape, enlisting the help of a female guard, having wooed her with his charm. The euphoria of his brazen prison break would quickly vanish as the police caught up with him at Rourkela Steel City, Odisha. He was returned to Chennai's maximum security prison. Shankar's trial was held at Chengalpattu Sessions Court. He was sentenced to death along with his 2 of his associates, Eldin and Shivaji, on 31st May 1991. Auto Shankar was hanged in Salem Central Prison in 27 April 1995.